Welcome back to another episode. Today I wanted to talk about fueling as much as possible during your races, specifically for the marathon distance. So, what I mean by fueling, of course, is for the majority of us that aren't elite athletes, it's going to be coming in the form of gels. Really doesn't matter what gel you're using, whatever works best for your gut. Yes, there's gels that I preferred, gels that I would recommend over other gels, but for the majority of us, whatever works best for your gut is going to be works best for you. And what I mean by fueling as much as possible is, I was inspired for this post the other day. I was listening to something like a YouTube video from somebody. He said something along the lines of, "We're not going to have 10 gels during our marathon." And I was like, "Wait a minute. I think I had 10 during my last one. I definitely had 9 gels. I might have had 10 gels." So my last marathon, training did not go well. I missed a lot of training, had a lot going on. Ended up spraining my ankle pretty bad as well. Long story short, training did not go well. I actually did not train my gut, which is something I'm going to touch on here quickly as well. I like to keep these shorter. These daily videos, I like to keep a little bit shorter. Um, or daily podcasts rather, or videos. If you're on YouTube, these are videos. If you're not on YouTube, these are obviously just audios. Anyways, I did not train my gut, and I did not train appropriately. That being said, I ran a 3:30 marathon, and I was over 200 pounds for that marathon. Still over 200 pounds as I sit here today. Um, this was in October at the Columbus Children's Marathon. And I had 9 or 10 gels. I wish I would remember. I should have, maybe I did write it down. Anyways, I took a gel basically every 20 minutes. Towards the end of the race, I took them every 15 minutes because I wanted to get that additional fuel in. That was kind of my secret to, I didn't hit my training like I should. All I did was I did one 18 miler. It was actually broken up. So it was no warm up, uh, 3 6 mile segments, same 6 mile out and back, so 3 miles out and back, with a 4 minute break. It was supposed to be a 3 minute break, but I had to pee, get some fuel, etc. Anyway, so I only did an 18 mile. I did like a 15, a 16, and then that 18, and that was like 6 or 7 weeks before the marathon, and then all my training went downhill from there. But I still did the marathon. My girlfriend was doing it. She used a very similar strategy, and she qualified for Boston there with very similar. I think she did something like 8 gels, 7 or 8 for sure. But my point in all of this blabbering is that the more fuel that you can train your gut to take in, the better you will perform. So when you look at cyclists, for example, they take in crazy amounts of fuel when they're in competition. I mean, upwards of 120 grams of carbs per hour. So an average gel, let's just, for sake of argument, say like a goo. A goo has 22, 23, maybe 24 grams of carbohydrates. Cyclists are taking in up to 120 grams because they can take from bottle fuel as well, not just from gels. They're not jostling their stomachs, so there's way less GI distress going on for them. That being said, we need to take those same strategies and apply them to running. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a cyclist. I'm just talking about the science behind what they're taking in. So you should train your gut to take as much fuel as possible without causing GI distress, without causing you to have to stop and go to the bathroom, because now you're defeating the purpose here. But that being said, what does that look like? Well, like I said, something like every 20 to 30 minutes is going to be perfect. I like to try to get 3 gels in per hour out there. Now, of course, that's going to have its limits. If you're running like a 5-6 hour marathon, now we're talking an outrageous amount of gels. But if you're like a sub 4 or a sub 3 marathon runner, 3 gels per hour, so that's going to be about 60 to 70 grams of carbs. If you're using a bigger gel, of course, maybe we'll have a little bit less, but 60 to 70 grams of carbs. And then if you're taking like the Gatorade they have on the course as well, that's going to contribute even more for you to get even more carbs in. So if you're taking 3 gels per hour, plus you're having a little bit of that Gatorade, maybe that's giving you another 10 grams of carbs. Now you're hitting like 70, 80, probably not 90 grams of carbs per hour, and that's going to be fuel that you directly use. You will never make up for the calories you're burning in a marathon. So even if you burn something, I'm going to grab my calculator here, even if you burn something like 120, so I burn like 145 probably calories per mile, maybe 150. But let's just say you burn 120 and you're running, and say you're running, we'll just keep it easy math. You're running 6 miles per hour. So every hour, you're burning 720 calories. Now, yes, you have glycogen stores. You're going to store upwards of maybe even 800 um, grams of glycogen. But that being said, if you divide that by 4, that's 180 grams of carbohydrates worth of calories that you're burning. So if you can keep your body, if you can replenish half of those, like I just said, and that just conveniently worked out that it's at 180. So if you can hit 70, 80, 90 grams of carbs when your body is burning 180, now you're also burning some fat there. You're probably burning about 80% carbohydrates and 20% fats. But just bear with me here for sake of argument. When you can replenish that, now your body isn't tapping into those glycogen stores as easily. So now when you get, as early. So now when you get deeper into your run, when you hit mile 20, mile 22, mile 24, you're not going to have that bonk because you gave yourself the fuel. So yes, your training is what's going to contribute to you not bonking, but also what's going to contribute to that is if you nail your carb load, which is a whole nother video, and if you nail your fueling. So the goal should always be to fuel as much as possible without causing stomach distress. Now, this will factor in some sodium and things of that nature. Maybe I'll make a longer video just in general talking about fueling. I'm going to leave this one strictly around the carbohydrate intake, but we've got electrolytes to consider, water to consider. If it's a hotter day out there, take that into consideration as well. If you didn't do a proper carb load, take that into consideration. But all things created equal, the more fuel you can give yourself, the better you will perform. And quite frankly, that was literally the secret to me really finishing the marathon to begin with. Since, I ran an 18 miler as my longest run in a long time. And then I went out there and I hit that was my goal. My goal was simply a 3:30. I literally nailed it. I ran like a 3, I don't know if it was a 29 and some change or a 28 and some change. I think it was a 29 and some change. I literally, I had to dig deep. A lot of it was mental as well. But when I hit mile 20, I started hurting big time. But I attribute a lot of that to my fueling. So when you nail your fueling, it'll literally make all the difference for you.